good, guys, and welcome back to Toto on Podcast. You better believe your eyes. My name is Eric Namai, and as I said, this is Toto on Podcast, the podcast where kids are made visible by Toto News, the podcast by kids, for kids, to kids, and everyone in general. That's why I'm here. And we were just talking, we're having a conversation about caregiving for children, right? And I am so privileged right now to have a really amazing guest right now. She is called Dr. Wala. I remembered your name. She's called Dr. Wala, and before we even started the interview, she was really interactive, but I'd let her introduce herself. Dr. Wala, I think that's your camera. You can introduce yourself,
Hi, my name is Dr. Makove Wala, but I prefer being called Kovs, which is the short form of it.
Yes.
I'm a medical doctor by background, but right now my focus is not in health. It is more in the childcare space. I founded and ran a domestic placement agency, popularly known as bureaus, called NAIROBII Home Care Services. We're based in Karen, and our mission is to professionalize the childcare space in your household. So that's it. So
well, welcome to the podcast, Kovs.
Thank you.
Kovs
is good.
Yeah, it's very interesting that before the interview you told me that medicine is your side hustle. Not so many people say medicine is their side hustle. So what made you change or decide, you know what, let me work for children right now? What gave you the driving force or the thought process before you started working for children or working in spaces for children? What made you change or transition to that?
So I think it's more of a gradual process. I have 4 children myself. I have a son who's 16, and I have triplet daughters who are 14.
Triplet. Wow. Okay.
And so it's that experience of raising them up that made me realize, and I was a career woman, so it made me realize that I needed someone who understood how to take care of children so that I could concentrate on my career. Luckily, I got someone by chance, and those days you just call someone, oh, do you have someone? I need a nanny, my other nanny, I fired her for this and that. And someone would walk in and you'd say, these are the children, this is what you should do, and you'd go to work. So without any onboarding, without not knowing their background and whatnot. But I was privileged to have very good help. There's one who stayed for 12 years, actually literally raised my children as her own.
Oh, wow.
And it's that when the children had started going to school, then she said, okay, what business can we do together, because there's so much time now. And we thought about starting a domestic worker placement agency, because I'd be asked by my friends, oh, can I get someone as good as yours? And then I'd tell her, do you know someone who's as good as you? And then she'd bring people from up country. So it started like a very informal kind of business. And it's only 4 years later when I had to move to a neighborhood that did not allow, because I operated it from my house. That did not allow, commercial activities within residential areas, that I had to say, hey, this thing is actually a proper business. I need to put in proper structures. And so that is how NAIROBII Home Care Services really has grown to a space where I can confidently say that it is breaking barriers out there. It's advocating for professional childcare. It's advocating for dignity at work. It's advocating for their training and certification. So we're doing a lot more, and we are doing this in partnership with others. So we got a grant from one of these funders who is here to basically advocate, to raise the advocacy voice of childcare workers within the homestead, because many of them are unseen. There are an unseen workforce, but they're very critical because they determine the outcome of your children, because this is the first 1,000 days. Most of the hours are spent with our caregivers more than the parents. Because we are busy with careers. So I usually ask people, who's taking care of your child? They have to know who's taking care of the child. Now, before we even get to where here is, because I remember I didn't tell people where we are. We have this is
so I have so many questions. I have so many questions regarding that. But there's one that stands out. It's parenting. I'm pretty sure parents have their careers. They're doing their best to make sure that their child has the best life they could ever get. And to do that, they're not going to be at the house every single day. So they have to have nannies. But you think there's an effect here. There's a reverse effect towards that, like not growing up with your parents. Like, were you raised by a nanny?
I was the 7th out of 8th born, so I was raised by my siblings,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
was the norm for most of us. But my other siblings were raised by relatives who'd passed through our house and route to college or whatever, which is again another norm where we get cheap labor, affordable, and we say in exchange for you taking care of my child, or I'll take you to college, or I'll do this and that.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
so we don't invest in proper skilled workforce and pay commensurate to that.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
so for me, my upbringing was, as I said, my siblings. Now, in terms of career, yes, I have a very busy career. In fact, maybe now after COVID, things have calmed down a bit. But before, it would be travel, it
Yeah.
would be, late nights and whatnot. And I realized from the beginning, since I had my children, that I had to train them to know that their mother was a busy mother.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love my career also,
Yeah.
as much as I love my children. And what really helped me was getting to read about parenting from books, exchanging with friends. And so I realized I needed to put my children on a routine.
Oh, yeah.
And that for me is something that has really worked out very well, because they know at any one point, like right now, it's afternoon, at this point,
Yeah.
this is what I should be doing. Even when they're teenagers, they have a routine that they need to follow. But that also helps whoever is taking care of them to now plan their day or their work around the routines of the children. So I guess I didn't have it as hard as others,
Yeah, yeah.
despite them being triplets, because I started on I was very clear that, I only have 2 hands,
Yeah.
and then maybe there's the other lady, and then there are 3 children, so there has to be some
You
form
can't
of
always
order.
be there.
Yes,
Yeah.
some form of order, some form of predictability,
Yes.
which I think really helps children stabilize, because it's not a very ad hoc day, like they grow up with expectations. And then, of course, once in a while, we break all those rules and say, okay, today we are sleeping in.
Today we are hanging
yeah,
out.
Yeah. So that happens, yeah.
Guys, I forgot to tell you where we are. We're at the Moving Peak Hotel. Let me try to fix my chair. We are at the Moving Peak Hotel for the ECFG. It's Elevate Child Funders Group.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked about that much.
Yeah.
And as you told me that you're here for today.
Sure,
Yeah. Maybe
sure.
you can tell me what's your pick of the day?
Yeah, so we are here courtesy of Africa Early Childhood Network,
Yeah.
which is another funder of organizations that are working in the early childhood development space.
ACD, yeah.
Yes. So we were running a panel on childcare models, empowering the informal childcare workers. Yeah. So that's what has just happened. But I am so happy to have met so many, funders, so many people doing amazing things, young people, Toto News. So it's exciting, and I think these conversations, we are privileged to have it here.
Yeah.
And these conversations need to be elevated, as they say, because there's so much work to be done. There's so much awareness. I've met an incredible person who's pushing men to be more involved in parenting.
Oh, yeah.
And these are very few organizations focus on the man, the role of the man in childcare. Yeah. Breaking stereotypes that, if I carried my child, I'd be emasculated
or
or
single
something.
parenting by
Single parenting by a dad. Yeah. So I've really had amazing stories, and I hope all this will be put out there in reports in Toto News, and those who didn't manage to come, you're able to follow it in those channels.
Yeah. In regards to that, we talk about the thought process that came up with you starting your organization. So let's talk about challenges. What were the challenges before you got to where you are right now?
The challenges. You have the whole afternoon. The challenges are many. One, people don't see this as proper labor, and it's hard labor. Taking care of, I don't know whether you've babysat anyone.
Yes.
You have.
My cousins.
How long did it last? How many hours? So you can imagine this person wakes up early, has to, because here in Kenya they do more both housework and also childcare giving. So taking care of the house, taking care of the children, and then going back, most likely sleeping the last person. So that kind of labor, people feel I'm doing you a favor. I'm hosting you, I'm feeding you.
Yeah.
So they don't pay them well. So for us, we champion for minimum wage. Like in Kenya, minimum wage is 15,000 shillings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you can't take a house girl from us and pay them less than 15,000.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that we push for minimum wage, we ensure that the person we also give you is skilled. Because also people just wake up.
Yeah.
Nobody grows up saying, when I grow up, I'll be a house girl.
No one. I don't
Yeah.
think. I don't know. I don't wanna
Yeah.
judge, but I don't think so.
I don't think so because of just the kind of degradation or just where people place childcare giving us. So it means that the ones who are there are coming in because they don't have an option of something better.
Oh yeah. Because originally they didn't see it as an actual thing that I could have done.
No.
Yeah, it was a
So
second option.
there's also a lot of psychosocial issues that they carry along with them.
Yeah.
And nobody asks, what did you want to be if you are not taking care of my child? Very few people ask.
Yeah.
But I find fantastic employers who are able to also, say, let's work on a plan. This is temporary.
Yeah.
As you build up your resources, let's say for a business, as you build up your resources for education, and they have worked with them and empowered them, which is something that we say, this is a human being.
Yeah.
The other thing we face is violence, physical violence. We've had our girls beaten up, sexual violence,
harassment,
being fired in the middle of the night. So in my agency, I have cops on call. I have
24 hours.
24 hours, yes.
wow.
You have to, because you have crazy people out there in Nairobi, especially.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to rescue. I remember a case where I had to go with 15 cops.
Oh, for real?